many fetishes. Like, that'll last ya. Hey everybody, it's Nikkie Fevs, and today I'm going to be telling you guys the story about how I got kicked out of my sorority for hazing. Alrighty, so before I start this video, I want to apologize for how pale I look. I look super pale in the viewfinder, and I think it's really bad. Maybe the pink backdrop wasn't a good idea. Maybe I should have stuck with white, but then I'm afraid I might have just blended in. I also want to ask you, obviously, to follow, like, and subscribe this channel, my Magic Med channel, and all my social medias at Nikkie Fevs, and IKKIEFEVS, which is Instagram and Twitter. Venmo Sharpie166 if you're really so inclined, but like don't expect anything in return. Third and final thing is I wanted to make this video not only for like a therapy session for myself, and because I know the bitches who got me kicked out of my organization are definitely watching this, but also because I was reading through a couple of comments and some private DMs, and by private DMs I mean about 4 or 5 of them from people who've been watching me since the early 2010s, which LA times a milli for that one. But some of their comments were kind of fair, where I make this video about how I'm back and I'm going to tell you guys everything, and a lot of shit went down that you don't know. But I don't really get into much detail, and the reason I didn't get into much detail is because it was going to be such a long video, so I thought I'd start putting out some storytime videos that don't seem to be too popular, but I like them because I love talking about myself, and I love talking about tragic situations that happen in my life. God, I miss my therapist. So because I love to fashion myself a bit of a storyteller, I'm going to pay some respect to some OG storytellers of the world, and I'm going to be using a tool in which they used during the telling of ancient stories in order to enhance and enjoy it a bit more. So if you just give me like maybe 5 minutes to finish the rest of this, you know, it'll be a funny story. It's so fucked up. Filming a story time no one cares about, but I'm getting high in the meantime in order to make the story a bit more enjoyable. And just to prove to all those bitches that are definitely watching that, wow, Nikkie's really not doing well. Babe, I'm thriving. I'm broke. I'm working in the middle of a pandemic for assholes who don't believe in a pandemic. One of my best friends hates me. I'm fucking thriving. Like, please. Okay, so the 3 main reasons I ended up being kicked out of my sorority were because of, number 1, I did not pay my dues. Number 2, I was photographed in a bar or a club with a younger sister, which is we'll get there. And number 3 was finally hazing, and that was what fully got nationals to say hell no, rejected my appeal, wrote me a letter back telling me how dare I. We'll get into it. I'm also not going to be mentioning anybody's names, including the name of the organization in which I was a part of, even though it has passed the 5-year legal contract that I signed when I first became a sister, because they do make you sign a contract about things like this. It's still just, I'm not in the mood to deal with it, especially since I think the advisor who kicked me out, who was a cunt, is still their advisor, and I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. So no names of any organizations. I had some videos on this channel that I think I've privated since then, but no names. If you were here and you knew the name, cool, good for you. So basically, I talked about it in my video, but I want to be a part of an organization. I got bid promised to one organization, and then the other one accepted me, which is awkward because there was only 2 organizations on my campus. And then from sophomore year until senior year, senior year, fall semester, I was a part of an organization, a sorority. And now looking back on it, a lot of the stereotypes and all of the comments a lot of people make about organizations like that are 1000% true. I think my organization was super amplified just because of the fact that it was one of 2 organizations on a campus that had less than 2,000 people, so it was like hard to recruit, hard to get people involved, and when you're the losers and the ugly sorority, it's even more difficult, which guess who was a part of that one? But like, I kind of started to take a break from the organization. And I think that's what they all actually wanted. I got diagnosed with being bipolar. I kind of like told my sisters, they were there for me, and then they let me kind of take a break, and I came back when necessary. But when I came back in full force, and I was really like trying to latch on to something because I was being a senior. I had no money. My mom wasn't talking to me at the time, which is a whole nother story. My support system was a piece of shit. Like it was just a lot of stuff going on. And so I understand not everyone having the same opinions. I'm never going to claim to be innocent in any of these situations, but I will say I grew up in a toxic environment. I was mentally, verbally, and sometimes physically abused, and that's kind of what I looked for when I went to college. And my organization was 1,000% toxic, 1,000% abusive, 1,000% just a bunch of bitches, and that's like the truth. And I was not a part of them. I was one of them because I didn't know any better. That was normalcy for me, and that was normalcy for a lot of the other girls. So it kind of like it's a whole different story. But so we were all pretty shitty to each other, and I guess when recruitment fall semester ended, 3 girls in particular, the president, my little, and their roommate kind of had it up to here with me, and they decided that they were going to start to put in motion me getting kicked out. I know for a fact, probably 2 out of 3 of those girls are watching this video right now because, oh my god, fun fact, I was stalking one of them a couple months back, and her feed was really aesthetic. Like, it's really aesthetically pleasing. So I just started liking pictures, and then I realized what I was doing, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a big drama in a circle of people I couldn't give a fuck about. But so, hi bitches! Hey, being aesthetic seems to be the only thing that's going for you. Congratulations! I'm such a petty bitch, but I don't give a fuck. So that semester, I think I've been called to standards 2 times before. The first time being about money, and then the second time was bullshit, right? So we had all these like chair positions and stuff, and I was like a marshal, and I took it really seriously because like I have respect for those things. I joined that because I had respect for the ritual, I had respect for the sisterhood, I had respect for all that stuff, and I wanted that stuff. And there was a girl in the middle of a ritual who was like leaning against a table, and she was leaning against a table that had wheels on it, so it rolled back and she like fell backward, and it like interrupted the ritual, and it pissed me off, which is ridiculous. But I said to her, I said something like, if you ever do something like that again in ritual, I kick you out so quickly. And she went, why are you threatening me? And I went, oh. I said, it's not a threat, it's a promise, because I don't threat, I promise. And she reported me for that, which, fuck her. She was a loser. But so I'd already been 2 times, and they had just really been trying to like get me kicked out. So I was kind of technically already on like this probationary period, right? I was going through a lot, by the way. And it was the week after Halloween, yeah, because it had already been for the dues, because dues had gotten to the point, I can't say the actual number, but they had gotten to over $600, and I had to do them myself, and I had, again, we've gone through this in like every video, I was broke, I had no concept of finances, I was living in this privileged little bubble that popped, and oh my god, so I couldn't keep up with the payments, so they sent me to standards for that in the beginning. So when they sent me again, it was just like a, hey, we already told you this, you didn't do it, this is strike 2. Third one, if you don't pay it, is sending you to an actual collection facility, all this stuff. So that was the first reason. And I was like, I know. And I had to like call someone I really didn't want to and beg them to pay my dues, because they wouldn't even let me get kicked out of the organization until I paid my dues, which was ridiculous. So then number 2 was about a picture. So on Halloween week, like I was friends with the pledges. Like I wanted to be friends with the pledges. Like a couple of them were pretty cool. A lot of them were fucking bitches. My own little left me in London a year later, like literally abandoned me in the streets of London a year later, which can be a whole nother story time. I hung out with 2 of them in particular. One of them ended up becoming one of my best friends, even though she's mad at me right now. And we went out together all Halloween weekend, and we ended up meeting at this club. And I'm 21. They may or may not have been 21. And we took a picture together. And this girl posted the pictures on Facebook as like a photo dump and tagged me in it. And they have a very strict rule that anyone under 21 is not allowed to go out, is not allowed to drink, is not allowed to go to a club or be seen at a club, anything like that. And someone over 21 is not allowed to bring anyone under 21 to a club, drink with them, or take pictures with them, anything like that. So when that picture came out, we actually hadn't gone together. We spent the rest of the weekend together, but we hadn't gone together. And she actually texted me, are you at this club? Because I was already there, and I was like, oh yeah, and we met up then. And I said this in the standards meeting, which is the disciplinary action with the board. And my favorite response to that, which is so ridiculous now looking back as a 25-year-old woman, like with an actual brain and knowledge of like law and things like that, their excuse for not letting that go. Because if normally you could say, well, I didn't bring her, she was there, I was just there, and they'd like let you off with a slap on the wrist. Their reasoning to making it a bigger deal was that, yes, Nikki, but she is under 21 and she is in a club. What if she then, God forbid, got in a car and got in an accident? You would be responsible as the sister who saw her, was 21, and knew better. That's not how life works. If an underage girl's in a club and is drinking and then is a dumbass and gets in a car and drives it and crashes it, and God forbid something happens to her, that's on her. That's not on the sister who saw her in a club. There's no way in hell she could be legally responsible, but that was the excuse that they gave me. And then the third and final reason, which was the most serious but wasn't actually serious, and I will explain, was hazing / bullying. Hazing is obviously illegal. That is 100% an illegal thing that happens, but still goes on in organizations. And for example, on a small campus like ours, it doesn't really go on because everybody is ready to snitch each other out. So for me, I'm going to be really honest, when I was a pledge, I asked to be hazed because I wanted to earn my letters. And people hate that. People in organizations hate hearing that, but it's true. I don't want to just pay you and then get all these, like, be able to wear my letters and have all these friends who are obligated to be my friends. No, I want to have a connection. I want to build. I want to enjoy the rituals together. And then, yeah, I'll pay you for that. Even though the amount of money that they demanded from us, and they wouldn't let people drop if they wanted to drop because they needed the money. It was just ridiculous. So hazing is a really big thing not to do. But our founding sisters, who were only about 3 or 4 years before this, developed a different term than hazing, and they called it scroll. So scroll is when you get initiated, you sign your name on this scroll. This is in every organization, this is commonly known. And my organization justified it that you sign it in order of your pledge class. It's not alphabetical order, it's in order of your pledge class. So my name could be above another girl's name, say Sally. There was never a sister named Sally, so I am safe. So I joined a year before Sally, and then Sally joins a year after me. If I asked Sally, hey, go get me something, and she said no, I could turn around and say, scroll, which meant I'm higher than you ranked, I'm higher than you on the scroll, respect me and do what I say. Which was taught to me by all the founding members, and when I was being hazed, that's how I was being hazed. They would scroll me. On bid day, we had a big party, which was already not allowed and was already hosted by one of the girls who wrote an email about me. Thank you very much. We were explaining scroll to the girls, and I was already incredibly drunk and pretty high. Don't get crossfaded. This is like a public service announcement to not getting crossfaded, because this is what the fuck happens when you two get crossfaded. They were saying like, well, will we get hazed? Like, what's hazing? And a girl brought up scroll, and they said, what's that? And then I very drunkenly and loudly, obnoxiously explained it. And there was a girl next to me who was like, I'm not drinking, I'm not drinking. We knew she was fun and a party animal and she drank, so we were all trying to get her to drink. And I knew she was gonna drink. And so I said, for example, I could pour this shot and I could tell so-and-so to drink this. And she's like, no, 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 the girls are cheering. And I go, and when she goes, no, I just go, scroll. And I drunkenly screamed at her scroll and made her drink the shot. And I knew immediately once she did it, I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was just an example. Like, are you okay? Like, I'm not hazing you. Are you okay? Do you feel bullied? And she was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe she felt uncomfortable. Maybe she didn't in that moment. But months later, when we ended up actually going out, like a week before school ended, we talked about it, and she told me herself that she didn't feel uncomfortable. And she could have just been saying that to be a people pleaser, but I do remember apologizing and saying, no, no, that wasn't real. I wasn't actually scrolling you. It was just an example, but I did make her drink the shot. So this happened in September, and they reported it 2 months later in November. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And because that was written up without me saying, oh, I wasn't actually hazing her, they called it bullying, they called it hazing, and I was automatically suspended. And I remember wearing my pin to chapter that day, the woman who was in charge, the advisor, was a psychopath. Big Trump supporter. Knew she was trouble, and should have known she was trouble from the minute I saw her. But I remember she literally stood over me. I'm crying. I'm hysterically crying because, of course, when this happened to me, this was my life. Like, this broke me. I'd spent so much time in relationships and trying to build this organization, and it broke me. It absolutely broke my heart. And the pin was on my dress, and she stood there as she made, because you have to sign paperwork acknowledging that you know that you did all these things and that you accept that you did these things, and they send it off to nationals, and then you get like reviewed. And she stood there while I was shaking and signing the paper with her hand out and her foot tapping, going, waiting for me to unhook the pin, shaky handed, and give it back to her. And I had acrylics on, so it was super fucking difficult, and it sucked. It absolutely sucked. I think the worst part of it all was I didn't get kicked out immediately. I got suspended. So I was able to plead my case, and I wrote this horribly grammatically incorrect, like I was sleep deprived. I had been working on finals, and I was like, I have to write this thing, and it can only be a page long. I had to write this like begging paper, and it was so ridiculous. And I just sent it off to nationals. I didn't get a letter back from my sorority, the national organization, until February, letting me know that my letter was rejected. It was the most despicable behavior. We are above that and better than that, and they will be keeping my pin in the office, and I am officially terminated from that organization. In the end, it was for the best. It just really sucks that people you thought were respectful and cared and were, did that. And, we were all toxic to each other. I was probably top 5 worst sisters. I probably was, because I was just really focused on myself, and who cares? I only fuck with like maybe 3 or 4 of them to this day. And like, I don't even talk to them every day. Like that's what proves it to you. It just, it was ridiculous. And you know what? It was for the best. It sucked, and it took a lot of experiences away from me. I could have done a lot of different stuff throughout college and had different experiences, but everything happens for a reason. You live life for a reason. You go through mistakes and errors and fuck ups, as frank and honest as it is, for a reason. You either pass them right away and learn your lesson, or you have to fail and study up a couple of times. That's how I live life. So the experience kind of really sucked, looking at it as an overall, but it was an experience I needed to have to get to this point in my life as a functioning woman in this world, to realize that it was fucked up. So, whatever. I don't wish any of those girls anything. I do believe, like, you don't have to, you don't really always have to forgive every person who wrongs you to move on. It's healthier when you do for certain things, but I don't forgive them, nor do I want anything from them. It's just like, yeah, that sucked. They sucked, and that really showed who they were, and it's, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna live my life. That organization really fucked me up. They wanted me to delete my YouTube at one point. They called me to stand, like, just crazy shit happened at the organization, which I'll happily make more videos on if you're considering the Greek life organization a small university, because they wanted me to delete my YouTube at one point. My Instagram was being monitored every single day for posts. I was asked to delete like 6 posts because they could see my bra. Like it was nuts, and it was a toxic experience. But toxicity is my brand, or was my brand for a little while. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very embarrassing story. I hope that girl really does know that it wasn't malicious, it wasn't horrible, it wasn't for me to bully or put you down in any way. And if she's watching now, like, good luck, have fun in life. I'm sorry if that sounded bitchy, but I'm genuinely sorry if you thought I was really bullying you. I wasn't. I'm gonna go ahead and go. If you want to hear more story times, even though my views tell me you really don't, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to follow me on social media, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, bye!